back to another episode of the Algorithm Podcast.
Been a while.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
On today's episode, we are going into missing persons cases again. We've done one?
We
did Johnny Gosh, and did we do another one?
I
I don't think we did another one. Yeah, we did Johnny Gosh, and that episode is popping off.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going stupid. I love missing persons cases.
Yeah.
Because it leaves a lot up to
Speculation.
interpretation.
Yeah, you got to be a detective on those ones.
There's just a ton of it out there.
Yeah, especially with like things like Reddit.
Mm-hmm.
Reddit is like an entire like detective.
I was looking at Reddit before I got here. Like on the way over here, I was looking at some Reddit stuff.
Which on Reddit, there's some stuff on Reddit about this case that is like
wild.
Yeah, that like
kind of out there.
So the show's called Disappeared.
Mm-hmm.
She's like a damn lion, bro. Like you didn't even hear her creeping up. She was over there, and then I turned, and she's right here.
The show that I based this off of was the Disappeared episode, and the case is Bryce Laspisa.
Mm-hmm.
Bryce Laspisa, I don't even remember how old he was when he went missing, but he went
19.
missing.
He was 19.
I was about
19.
to say he's like 18 or 19 because he was in college.
Yeah, and Reddit has like a bunch of different theories on this case that the Disappeared show like held from us, like the relationship with his parents and stuff like that wasn't really what it was supposed to be. But enough about that. Follow the socials.
Yeah, definitely go do that.
YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Spotify.
It's crazy. We're coming up on a year already.
A few months out.
In August, wasn't it?
Yep, a few months out. August 1st or 5th was like our first episode that we released.
Yep.
Casey Anthony. What did you think about Bryce Laspisa when you first started researching this?
When I first watched it, I was just confused. The whole like leading up to his disappearance confused the frick out of me.
Yeah.
And I couldn't connect any dots.
Yeah.
And then the more that I watched and listened and read, like there's so much out there of people saying it could be this or it could be that or whatever. And that just made it more confusing for me. Like I want to know.
Yeah, it was just bizarre.
Yeah.
Like I can't even explain it. Like you can't explain it. Like the kid drives his car off a cliff, right? And then like there's evidence of him kicking the window out, getting out of the car.
There's
out
only
of the
2 drops of blood.
Only 2 drops of blood. You drive your car off a cliff.
What?
Only 2 drops of blood.
Yeah.
Evidence of you kicking out a window and leaving.
Yeah.
And can't be found.
Mm-mm.
It almost reminds me of like a series or something, like where there's obviously more going on than what people know. Like there's a lot of things that you could, speculate about, but I feel like there's something there that like you just don't know about at all.
Yeah,
that could have led up to him doing things to make it look like something else.
There's like holes that were missing. Like there's details that haven't been talked about. Like one specifically that I'm pretty sure we'll get into is like a phone call. He called, we'll get into the story, but he ended up calling his mom at like 1 a.m.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
And his mom to this day hasn't told anybody what the phone call is about.
Yeah.
And she refuses to tell people what the phone call is about.
Yeah.
Which is weird when your son's missing. So.
Yeah. Which brings up, the theories on Reddit, like life wasn't what it was meant to, like seemed at home and stuff like that.
Obviously some other issues going on there.
Yeah. What'd you think about it?
I was confused. I didn't know what to think. I was just like,
yeah. I'm telling you, me and Erica sat down and watched every episode of Disappeared because it was like we enjoyed watching it. This is the one where like after this episode was over, I started like looking shit up.
Right, like nothing like question marks
like,
there.
I started like looking shit up like
nothing
okay, so
sense.
YouTube this. All right, let's get into it. Bryce David Laspisa grew up in Naperville, Illinois, in a suburb of Chicago, the only child of a small but loving family. Intelligent, happy, and outgoing, Bryce was a gifted artist from a young age and loved drawing. He was an avid gamer as well and particularly enjoyed playing the Xbox. Bryce excelled in school and was well liked by his peers. I quote, "He is such a social guy. He had lots of friends who would hang out with him often," recalled his father, Michael.
He would talk to us about any subject, his mother Karen added. An open book. We always say that he gets that from his mom because I'm an open book, and it was always just very easy. The Laspisa family was very close, and Bryce felt comfortable sharing anything with his parents, or so they thought. After retiring, Karen and Michael Laspisa decided they wanted to move to California, and when Bryce graduated high school in 2012, that's just what the family did. Ultimately settling in Laguna Niguel?
Laguna Niguel.
Niguel? Yeah, whatever. An affluent beach town in Orange County. Shortly thereafter, Bryce left home and began attending Sierra College in Rockland, approximately 7 hours north of Laguna Niguel, to study graphic and industrial design. During his first term, he met and began dating a fellow student named Kim Sly.
In the summer of 2013, Kim and Bryce's close friend and roommate Sean noticed his frequent heavy drinking and started to worry about him. The 19-year-old Bryce also began using Vyvanse. Yeah, I'm not a
Vyvanse,
obviously. Vyvanse and amphetamine.
Yeah, it's basically
commonly
meth.
used to treat ADHD and binge eating disorder. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like legal meth.
Where he obtained the medication for which he didn't have a prescription was unclear, but he reportedly started taking the psychostimulant because he wanted to stay up later playing video games.
Yeah, I've never taken Vyvanse.
Nice. Me neither.
I've heard it. I heard it could have like two different effects. It could either be like a super upper or a super downer, depending on what you're using.
It's like real similar to like Adderall.
Yeah. Which I mean, like Adderall has, like it'll literally make me bounce off the fucking wall. But I know some people to put them to sleep.
Yeah.
The potential side effects of Vyvanse include headache, dizziness, racing heart, hallucinations, nausea, trouble sleeping, and irritability.
That's important to know.
Yeah.
Like, if you're taking Vyvanse, you can get headaches, dizziness, racing heart. Hallucinations is the biggest one.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, the kind of the crazy part of it.
Yeah.
What's going on with him? Unsurprisingly, its combination with alcohol proved problematic. By late August 2013, Bryce began to display troubling and uncharacteristic behavior. Bryce abruptly gifted his Xbox and a pair of diamond earrings, which was a gift from his mom, to Sean, followed by a heartfelt yet cryptic text that read, "I love you, bro. Seriously. You're the best person I've ever met. You saved my soul."
Okay, so this right here is a 30 red flags.
Yeah.
Right.
Like 30 red flags. It already said he loved to play his Xbox. That was like his biggest thing.
Right.
Gives it up. A pair of diamond earrings that your mom gave you. Give it away.
Yep.
You know, you're telling your buddy, "I love you, bro. You're the best person I've ever met. You saved my soul." It's almost like a farewell type of thing, you know?
After already taking medication to stay up and play video games, he then turned around and gave away his Xbox. That part confused me.
Yeah, and they emphasized that in the Disappeared episode. Like, his Xbox was like, that's all he wanted to do.
Right.
Yeah. Later that day, Bryce broke up with Kim, telling her that she'd be better off without him. Another red flag.
Right.
Break up with your girlfriend who, at the time, what they were saying was there was no issues with them. You know, they were happy. You know, they were fine. Bryce apparently had something he wanted to tell his parents and was planning to drive home. Worried, Kim took his keys and called the Laspisas to tell them she was concerned and didn't think he should be driving. Okay. Bryce got on the phone and claimed that Kim was simply upset that he had broken up with her. Bryce's mom, Karen, later recalled part of their conversation. She said, "Bryce, I'm worried. Let me come up there tomorrow. Let me fly up there tomorrow." And he says, "Mom, no. Don't make any airline reservations until I talk to you because I have a lot to talk to you about." This was big.
Yeah, that was one of the parts I was definitely watching, and that was kind of like
What's
super weird. Yeah, like,
what do you have to talk to
You're
her
basically
about?
just kind of saying you're throwing your life away here, and then you need
Right.
to talk to your mom before she does anything. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah, which some theories are, you know, it could be like mom didn't know he was taking Vyvanse. It could be like
He wanted help.
like I need help,
Right.
you know, just like a plea. You
Yeah.
know?
Sadly, Karen and Michael would never find out what Bryce wanted to discuss. Bryce maintained that he was fine, and Karen convinced Kim to give him back his keys. He left at 11:30 p.m., claiming that he was going back to his apartment. In the early morning hours of August 29th, Karen missed a call from Bryce. She assumed that he was just calling to let her know he was back at his apartment. However, it was later revealed that his cell phone pinged hours away from his apartment. At 11 a.m., Karen and Michael received a phone call from their insurance company notifying them that Bryce had called roadside assistance earlier that morning. As it turned out, Bryce needed help because he had run out of gas in Buttonwillow. the halfway point between his apartment and the family's home in Laguna Niguel. Christian, an employee of Castro Tire and Truck Services, had delivered 3 gallons of gas to Bryce at 9 a.m. At this point, his parents assumed that he was on his way home. But by noon, when Bryce still hadn't shown up, Karen called the insurance company and asked to be put in touch with Christian. Much to Karen's relief, he kindly offered to return to Buttonwillow and check on her son. Oddly, Christian found that Bryce was in exactly the same spot he was hours before, and his eyes looked a bit red. He agreed to talk to his mother and assured her that he would be home by 3 p.m.
Insane.
Yeah.
Shout out to Christian, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah,
lot
that's
for
sweet.
like an insurance company to go do. I
Yeah.
feel
Like he did not have to do anything that he did, but
Mhm.
shout out to him for being there because he really helped. At least ease the mind for a little bit.
Right.
Yeah.
How many hours had passed?
I mean, he left at 11:30 and got the gas delivered by 9. So, I mean, that's
Several?
11:30 p.m.
what, 10 hours?
Yeah, that he was just sitting in one spot.
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing just sitting in one spot for
Right.
10 hours? Like, it's almost like he's just like, I don't know, just like thinking.
It kind of like throws almost like I'm like contemplating what I'm going to do.
Right.
Like, I'm in a spot that I don't know like what decision to make. So I'm just
Right.
kind of sitting here, I don't know, foregoing
Yeah.
or not making the decision, just trying to figure it out.
The biggest thing that got me was that his parents never once got in their car and drove to him.
Yeah,
Go
that's weird,
fucking
man.
get your kid.
Hell no.
Yeah, like
I'd have been in a car like
He's still
when
sitting in
when
the
they took his
same
keys
spot.
out of his girlfriend's house. I wouldn't have cared
Keep
what he
'em.
said. I'm going to my kid
Yeah,
at that point.
keep him, and don't
Yeah.
let him leave. I'm coming to him.
Mm-hmm.
Or if he was at this halfway point in Buttonwillow, why would you not?
How many hours is that away from his house? Is it 2 hours? 2-hour drive?
I
think it was
Wasn't it like 3 or
3.
4?
Yeah.
That's what it was.
I mean, still.
Make that drive.
Yeah,
Come on.
that's halfway point. That's an hour and a half, bro. It's like
Yeah.
that's not that much.
And like clearly something's going on because Sean had called his mom and said, "Hey, something's weird." And then his girlfriend called his mom and was like, "He's acting sporadic. Like I don't want to let him leave." And she was like, "No, let him leave. It's fine." And then they never like went to get him or like intercept what was happening. That part gets me.
You trust him to drive that long home?
Absolutely not.
Yeah,
No, I
there's
don't.
No way.
No way.
No way.
When Bryce again failed to show up, Karen called him multiple times but received no response. At 6 p.m., after several hours with no word from Bryce, his parents reported him missing. When police pinged Bryce's cell phone, they learned he was still in Buttonwillow and found him parked on the side of the road, just 8 miles away from his last known location.
He drove 8 miles up and then stopped again.
Stopped again.
Yeah.
Yeah. He did not want to go home.
Yeah.
Deputy Hernandez spoke to Bryce and let him know that his parents were very concerned about him and had reported him missing. Bryce seemed lucid and perfectly fine, explaining that he was simply relaxing and letting off steam by sitting there. He even passed a field sobriety test.
Which is crazy. I don't want to
Yeah.
interrupt you. He passed a sobriety test.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing is like people say, why didn't the cops, why didn't these guys intervene? Like, why didn't they, take him home? There was no, I mean,
There's only so much they can do.
Yeah.
Right.
They have rights to do, and it's
Yeah, like
if
protocol.
you're
wasn't a
fine
minor.
and you pass the sobriety test, they can't hold you for anything.
Right.
When asked if he had any drugs or alcohol in his Toyota Highlander, Bryce said he didn't and agreed to have his vehicle searched. Law enforcement turned up nothing either illegal or suspicious among Bryce's belongings. They felt he was okay to continue on his way, but asked him to speak with his mother first.
Which he didn't want to do that. He was like, I
He
don't
was,
need to.
hesitant,
And
yeah.
that's like another red flag as
Right.
parents. Like at this point, you've talked to his girlfriend's parents. You've talked to him. It's taken him almost
Talked to the insurance
This is
company,
over
you've
12
talked to
hours
the
at this
police.
point, and
Right.
we're now on a third phone call, and you still haven't gone and tried to help him.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, super weird.
he literally just drove up 8 miles just to get out of that area to where that Christian dude just wouldn't see him just sitting there again.
Yep.
Yeah. Karen asked Bryce what he was doing, and he responded that he was merely putting his things back into his SUV because the officers had just searched it. According to Karen, her son claimed he was only there because he planned to meet up with friends. Who these friends were or why he'd have to wait so long for them was yet another unknown.
I feel like that was a lie.
Yeah.
The deputies left, assuming that Bryce would soon drive home. That night, Christian noticed he missed a call from Karen earlier, so he called her back and learned that Bryce still wasn't home. He offered to once again look for him and report back. Ultimately, he found Bryce right where the police officers had left him. Again.
Right.
Again. Christian told him that he needed to start driving home, offering to follow along behind him in his own car. Bryce agreed with this plan, and Christian followed him for 10 miles before pulling over to let Karen know that her son was now on Interstate 5 and headed that way. Bryce stopped to get gas and a soda at 12:30 a.m. 20 minutes later, Karen called him. He didn't answer. At 1:50 a.m., his parents called him again, and this time he picked up. However, he was evasive in his responses to their questions and refused to give them any clues to his precise location, claiming that there were no signs in the area and that it was too dark to see any landmarks. Red flag.
Red flags.
It almost like makes me think like he had somebody like after him almost.
Yeah,
you know
like
what I mean? Like
chasing
I don't want to go home because I don't know. That's just like my head from watching so many like crazy TV shows and stuff. It's like you don't want to go home, and you're hours away from your parents. Like you don't want to like draw any attention to where you're gonna be.
So an out there theory is the area that he was in is a super, super, super hot spot for missing persons. Like it's like you pull up the United States, the map of United States, it's a red spot, like missing persons. Like hundreds of people have gone missing in that area. And what an out there theory is like he's like starting over. Like he met someone that is like high up somewhere, and he's starting a new life doing something else. Yeah,
that was kind of another thought that passed my mind. Like maybe he just didn't want anything to do with anybody and just wanted to start over. Because that was kind of like the Johnny Gosh, like where they've got so many theories. Like they thought that the one guy that was on the news network might have been him, and then his mom saying that he had came to her door at one night. Like this guy just, I mean, he might still be out there today. You never know. Like same thing with this.
I still think John is out there to this day.
Like people just decide they just want to live a different life, and
whether you're whether you're just, who the fuck knows, dude? Who knows?
That's why these are so interesting sometimes, because it's like it does leave it so much up to interpretation. You can kind of make your own.
Well, not to be jumping too far ahead or anything, but like literally the detectives that were on the case in the disappeared episode says to this day, he said I'll put my career on it. I'll put my career on it that he's still alive.
I watched that part where he was literally like, I think he's still out there. Like I just think he doesn't want to be found.
Maybe somebody gave him like a bad one. Like he took
like a bad Vyvanse,
and it was
or stuff like that happens all the time. It changes your whole makeup.
I have a friend that I went to
brain.
high school with who like got something bad, and he's like
completely different.
I have another theory that I'm going to bring up too once we get to this part, and I think this is the most like logical one. Like I think we're at as to provide.
Okay, as if to provide one piece of information to allay their worries. Bryce told Karen and Michael that according to his GPS, he would arrive home at 3:25 a.m. He spoke to his parents one final time at 2:09 a.m. and told them that he was tired and planned to pull over and take a nap. They thought it was a good idea considering that he hadn't slept for at least a day. Again, why are you still
right? Like I'm gonna come get you and you can go to sleep here.
So he's an hour, they said 3:25. So
you're gonna let this kid pull over on the side of the road to sleep?
Yeah. After 2 days of doing this,
absolutely.
I'm in the car yesterday.
Things piling up. You have his friends and his girlfriend saying he's not right.
Yeah,
something's going on. He was drinking the 2 handles of alcohol like a weekend. So. Yeah, it wasn't just drugs, it was alcohol too.
Yeah.
Like people on Reddit were saying like people that like went to school with him and like knew him that weren't a part of the disappeared episode and stuff like that were saying like his parents were like very, very strict, controlling, pushy. Like that's why like he was the way he was.
Right.
That's crazy. The Laspisas woke up the following morning to the sound of their doorbell. Assuming that Bryce was finally home, they rushed to the door to greet him. However, they were surprised to find a police officer from the California Highway Patrol standing there instead. He asked if they owned a 2003 beige Toyota Highlander, and they explained that it belonged to their son. The CHP officer went on to tell them that it was found abandoned at the bottom of a 25-foot embankment near Castaic Lake at 5:30 a.m. It was discovered lying on its side with a broken rear windshield. The authorities believe that Bryce had broken the window after the crash in order to get out of the SUV. His wallet, cell phone, and laptop were still there.
Insane.
Yeah.
Yeah. Seems like to me like he just didn't want
He
his
wanted
life
out.
anymore. He just wanted to be gone. I mean,
Yeah. So one of the theories was like he wanted to end his own life, right? But so he like well, I don't think we've got to the camera footage yet of him.
Not
like
yet.
We haven't got to that yet.
Mhm.
But on the embankment where he drove off at, like if you're just looking at the embankment, you think how big the lake is. You think the lake's right underneath it.
Mhm.
Right, but when he drives off it, what he couldn't account for was like the dip, and there's like land leading up to
In
the
between
lake.
that,
He
yeah.
he didn't know that, so that's one of the things. Is like he tried to end his life, boom, hit that instead.
and then probably it's almost like a shameful thing. Like, oh, people probably think I tried to kill myself, so maybe that's when he made the decision to just
Right.
be like, I'm done.
Or
Out of here.
the impact was so strong that it erased his memory. Doesn't know who he
Could've
is.
Could've been.
Amnesia. That was a big one.
Amnesia.
That's what's
And-
crazy.
Yeah.
It could be anything, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, where is this dude at?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
where is this dude at? There's no way he's. I'm skipping ahead too much. Go ahead. I keep skipping ahead. It pisses me off. It pisses me off.
2 small drops of what turned out to be Bryce's blood were found as well. One of the passenger's seat headrest and the other in the back seat. This seemed to indicate he may have sustained only minor injuries. Jesus, what hard. Though it's possible he also incurred internal injuries. The only element notably absent from the scene was Bryce himself. An unzipped duffel bag was found nearby. They felt that he had opened it up to grab something before leaving. However, what he may have taken with him and why he left so many important items behind is still a mystery.
So if you want to restart a life, right, and you don't want any traces of anything to know where you're at, right, you're going to leave your cell phone, you're going to leave your wallet, you're going to leave your debit cards and stuff like that. What's one thing that you can take with you? Cash money
Cash money.
in a duffel bag.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
That's what I always thought was in the duffel bag.
Yeah,
very well could have been.
An examination of the tire tracks revealed one of the more troubling aspects of the accident. Bryce had actually accelerated while descending the hill, leading many to wonder if he intentionally caused this crash. The search operation included officers on foot, horseback, and four-wheelers, as well as divers, bloodhounds, and cadaver dogs. Canine search teams tracked Bryce's scent down Lake Hughes Road to a gas station and truck stop. Interestingly,
Fished there many years with Pep.
oh God, shut up. Interestingly, that's where it ended. So he was picked up by someone after several days of thorough searching in and around Castaic Lake, which has a maximum depth of 300 feet. Neither the divers nor law enforcement found any sign of Bryce.
Because they had looked for like 3 weeks.
So yeah, these divers that they had, it showed it in Disappeared too. They searched every square foot of this lake. Every square foot. There was no bones, no nothing.
Yeah, that was kind of like my first thought when they showed that he had drove off the side, and I'm like, oh, maybe he just like hit his head and fell into the lake, and it was. But then, I mean, they searched the whole lake.
Yeah, I mean, could they have missed something? Could they have missed it? Maybe, but they said they searched.
I've seen other things like this where people have been like swept away in rivers and they find their bodies days later. So like a lake where there's no
come up on the bank
or anything, he's eventually going to be found.
It's not like he's a fucking anchor and he's going to sink to the bottom. It'll come up on the bank at some point.
Yeah.
The only other information they had to work with was security camera footage that showed Bryce driving down Lake Hughes Road at 2:15 a.m. This is crazy. Just minutes after telling Karen he was about to take a nap. Okay, so what is this? 2 hours and 15 minutes later, he was seen again at 4:20 a.m. driving down the same road. His vehicle didn't appear on the camera again after this. So he's driving. He's driving
around in circles. Yeah,
because it only takes the picture going up, but not coming down. So like everybody had said they didn't know when he came back down, but the camera had caught it again at 4:29 of him going back up, and then then he crashed. So
I'm telling you, dude. I'm telling you. When I first seen this, I was like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
And then I just went down a rabbit hole.
That's nuts.
Yeah. On September 4th, 2013, just days after Bryce went missing, police responded to reports of a fire near Castaic Lake, close to Bryce's last known location. When they arrived, they were shocked to find charred human remains. Though many expected these remains to belong to Bryce, it was ultimately determined that they did not.
Which that's wild.
What is a coincidence?
Yeah.
Yeah, this dude was like, I think he was like, I don't know if it's going to get to it. This was the dude that was like murdered in like LA or something like that. And they like took his body to that lake and burned him.
Yeah.
Right around the same time.
Hmm.
Yeah. Imagine being the parents getting that call like, hey, we found a charred body. You instantly think it's him.
Right.
Well, then my head goes to like something to do with that shit.
Right. Like,
Yeah,
why is everybody in the same area?
Yeah.
Who are you getting? I don't even know if it dove into this, but who is he getting the Vyvanse from?
Well, that was my thought. I always go to like drugs, money,
Right.
like murder, stuff like that. So if he was tied in, like almost like that Johnny Gosh stuff, like how many people were tied in with that stuff? If he got involved with that because of his drug use or something,
He was into Vyvanse. He could have had all that cash that I said.
they pull him in, say, "Hey, you want to be a part of this? Go make yourself missing, whatever.
Duffel
Then we'll
bag
burn
full of
this,
cash.
We can burn this body right here, make it look like it's you."
I mean, yeah, dude, I'm telling you.
I don't know. That's
No.
where my mind goes.
No, it's legit. Like, I mean, what else happened to this kid?
Yeah. Hard
One,
telling. You're just driving around.
one drop of blood off a wreck. How deep?
I mean, sent him
One drop of
straight
blood.
off.
Right.
If you're just think about it. You're driving. You're in a car. You land on your nose. Why are you not going through the fucking windshield?
Right. Well, and that's my thing too. Is like, it makes me lead like you made a decision and now you're regretting it type thing. Like,
Right.
maybe you did do something like that, make a decision
25
that
feet.
you don't want to be a part of anymore, and that's why you've sat on the side of the road for 2 days straight because now you got to go face some music with these people or something.
Right.
I don't know.
But then, like, was he wearing a seatbelt? If you really wanted to die, wouldn't you have taken your seatbelt
Yeah,
off?
Right.
throw me
Make
straight
it
out the car.
worse on
Yeah.
you? Yeah,
Right.
I don't
A
know.
lot of this stuff
How
is
did he
painting a
survive?
picture that I'm, faking my own death and I'm getting the fuck out.
Yeah, that's what
Like-
it's painting. Even if it's not some of the stuff I've been saying or we've been saying, like it's still painting that picture of like I just
Yeah.
don't want to be around anymore. And
Right.
I'm gonna go somewhere else.
The search for Bryce Laspisa continued. You can go ahead.
Displeased with the handling of their son's case, the Laspisas hired a private investigator. Unfortunately, her efforts failed to turn up any new evidence. However, the private investigator concluded that Bryce likely suffered a head injury during the accident. The resulting amnesia, or what's that say? Ooh.
I'm just gonna say like disoriented.
Yeah.
Disoriented
Yeah.
state led him to wander away
FUBE.
disoriented.
Sorry, we're not English experts here at the Algorithm Podcast, but Ford led to him wandering away disoriented, which I could see that happening too.
Yeah,
2015.
that's like the most logical theory is that he had amnesia, got out,
Right.
and just
Who knows? what happened
he's just
after.
like wandering. Like LA has, like California has the most homeless people on the
Yeah,
planet.
they're not dealt
Yeah.
with. It's just like you're
And
crazy.
they're not dealt
bro.
with. We
Yeah.
talked about that.
Yep.
The only thing that debunks that for me is how he made it back up to the truck stop. Like, if you are so disoriented from this accident that you had, how did you know
Right, because he was
the
spotted at the
route
truck stop
to go
afterwards.
back up to the truck stop and that's where your scent was lost?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean, there's been luckier stuff though. Like you bump your head, like you come to, you have amnesia, you still have like your basic survival instincts. Like
Yeah.
I was
you
about
see
to.
lights or something or
Right.
whatever.
I was literally about to say that, like, if you sustain a head injury like amnesia, dude, like your survival instincts, like your human instincts, just go away. Because even if he's like wandering through woods or something like that, he's still gonna try to get to safety.
Right.
Right,
Isn't that
exactly.
wild?
You're still gonna try to survive. Yeah,
That's crazy to me.
yeah.
Crazy.
In 2015, Karen and Michael hired a sonar specialist to conduct another search of Castaic Lake, but the effort yielded nothing relevant to Bryce's case. There have been many unconfirmed sightings of Bryce over the years, reported from states like Oregon, California, and Texas. However, in the years since he vanished, there have been no activity on Bryce's bank account, credit card, social security number, or passport. The police initially believed Bryce took his own life, as his behavior in the days leading up to his disappearance indicated the possibility of suicidal thoughts. They also believed that it was possible he decided to walk away from his life and start over elsewhere, which was kind of what we've been saying the whole time.
Right.
That is so common today. People walking away from their lives. I remember seeing something in the news like a mom walked away from her family, like staged her own death and everything, and she was found in like 3 states over with 3 kids.
Yeah, just chilling, had
With a husband, just a completely different life.
Man,
I've thought about it.
I didn't every day, but I didn't really even think of that. The homeless thing, like you sustain a head injury, bro, and you end up in LA right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude,
I mean,
a huge
it's
problem.
It's
Me and Carl I was just telling Carl about this the other day. I've watched a Rogan podcast. They had this what the hell's his name? I can't remember. He's like a lawyer in California and like a Second Amendment's rights, like backer, whatever you want to call it. Anyways, he went on there and was talking about the homeless problem in LA, and it's like the people that handle that stuff, they're basically they're paid like insane amount, like salaries. Like they're making like $500,000, $250,000 a year to help the homeless problem. So what happens if they figure it out? If they do, what happens?
They don't get paid no more.
They don't get paid anymore.
Yeah.
So it's something like on a yearly basis they're almost paid more, and the problem's getting worse. So they're basically doing nothing about the homeless situation. Yeah, they're milking it, and there's people out there literally suffering. I mean, there's a lot of people that just choose to live in that lifestyle, but like something like this where Bryce hits his head and ends up in LA, it's like this guy they're not going out and trying to help these people. Like this dude could just be somewhere in LA, just wandering the streets right now, looking
especially
crazy.
if he had amnesia, he don't know who he is, where he's from. No idea. His parents never entertained the theory that their son willingly chose to flee his life and family. You can go ahead, Tiffany.
He never ran away from home. There was never actually any problem big enough that would make Bryce literally want to walk away from his life. He loved us too much, and we love him too, said Karen. The Find Bryce Laspisa Facebook page reported a credible sighting of Bryce in
Missoula, Montana
in 2022. A photo of the man, who appeared to be a carbon copy of an older, disheveled Bryce, went viral online. Detective Ethan Smith investigated the lead, tracking the doppelganger down. I was able to verify his identity, and it's not Bryce, Smith later said. I believe the photo being circulated of the young man on the bike in Missoula who looks like Bryce is this guy, but sadly it isn't Bryce. I was astounded by the resemblance between the two. What happened to Bryce after his accident, as well as what was troubling him in the days leading up to his disappearance, remain a mystery. However, police do not think he died from his injuries in the accident. Considering his substance abuse and reports of erratic behavior, it's possible the young man experienced a psychotic break and is living off-grid in a debilitated state of mind. It took me a second. I know
Sorry,
the word.
my bad.
Anyone with information about the case can call 949-292-4400. The Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department can be reached at 323-890-5500. You can send photos to his family at findbrycelaspisa@gmail.com and get updates on the Facebook page.
Crazy.
So I didn't talk about the bloodhounds. What I said probably doesn't make sense, but
The bloodhounds
that tracked his scent all the way up to the.
Yeah,
they went.
Talk about that.
They went out and around the lake, didn't it?
Yeah,
or he went.
It just stopped.
Yeah, and once it got up to the truck stop, it completely disappeared. So everybody was speculating that he
was picked up,
picked up by somebody, or like convinced a trucker, like, "Hey, I need to go here. Take me with you."
Goes back to that theory that I had, like he got like hooked up with some people, and like even you said, got a different life.
Yeah,
it was staged perfectly.
Yep.
Perfectly.
There were a lot of people talking about him going into like the Secret Service too.
Yeah, there's that.
Where,
like because that area is literally a hot spot for like the CIA, the Secret Service, and stuff like that. There's literally accounts of that.
And for him to be young and just walk away from his life with his parents saying like he has no reason to do any of that, that was also one that I was like, yeah. I mean, he's young, so why not like start building a life for yourself now if that's what you're going to do? But to just completely disappear with all of his behaviors leading up to it is what confuses
What did he go
me.
to school for?
He was an artist, I think.
Yeah, like graphic.
Like graphic design. He was an artist or something.
Now,
So like it wasn't anything like.
My mind always goes to like movies and stuff. Like you think of like Men in Black, when they just kind of pull him off the street. He has no clue what the hell this is, and then
how else are you recruited for that shit?
I don't know.
Like
that's what's weird about it. They could stage a whole thing for you. Like, hey, if you want to do this, is how it's gonna happen.
We can make you disappear.
And that might sound crazy, but I think there's crazier shit that's happened in the world.
Yeah, and for him to tell his parents like, "Don't come to me. I need to tell you something first."
Right.
And this didn't say that, but there was a phone call made to his mom.
Yeah.
That she has not said what it was about, and she refuses to talk about.
See, and that's
That's
What is
Huge
that?
red flag right there.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell is that?
What is that phone call about?
Yeah.
Like,
Right,
look,
because if it was anything that could get your son home or give closure to the case or something, then you would probably come out and say it instead of having all these things, the fine Bryce Laspisa thing on Facebook, or continuing to, look for stuff that might give you a new lead or something. Like, I don't know.
I just don't think we'll
Some
ever.
red flags for sure.
I don't think we'll ever know.
No.
Nope.
It
I
makes
would
me
love
feel
to
like
know.
they have something to do with it.
Yeah,
because
like
they
his
were so
parents?
negligent. Yeah.
Yeah, their parents almost
and
seem
wanting
like
to find him or wanting to help him,
Right.
like well, let me get a flight. Let me come there. No,
Right.
Mom, don't.
and you
Okay.
did nothing. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, either
No.
they had something to do with it, or they know what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they know where he's at.
Yeah.
Which to just milk it for the public is kind of gross.
Yeah.
I hope it's not that because
Yeah.
golly,
I hope, but
yeah,
they were so negligent throughout
Yeah.
the whole thing.
at
It's
the
like,
same time.
what are you guys hiding?
What do you
Why
think
wouldn't
happened?
you?
I don't know. Don't ask me that. My brain goes so many different ways. I would like to think that he just wandered off and got picked up and is living a beautiful life somewhere, but
Dude's like fucking Tom Cruise, just like Mission Impossible right now.
he's just gonna show up one day. Everybody's gonna be like, "Oh shit, you're beautiful."
He's chopping a fucking Iranian dude in the throat right now.
Yeah, I think he sustained a brain injury, and
Yeah.
I think he wandered off, and I think he's just still wandering.
Yeah, which is sad.
Yeah,
It's
Yeah.
really sad.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I think happened.
Yeah, that's my conclusion. Is like he either wanted to be out of his life, or that wreck caused a head injury, and he ended up fleeing to the truck stop and was picked up and ended up somewhere just confused about what he's his whole life right now.
The trucks stopping at the truck stop is like the ultimate. Like I either hitched a ride or got picked up, which I guess is the same thing. But
Right.
hitching a ride and a planned pickup are two different things.
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
Like, I mean, like that's obvious. I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
What do
The-
you think happened?
I don't know.
Fucking
I
no
have
idea.
Too many
Same.
theories.
It's like one of them mind
Did
blowing
his
things.
parents
Yeah.
help? And I don't know. I don't know if I don't know.
We've thrown out so many theories. I
if
think
they
it
had
could
a
be really
conversation
anything.
with him about, what, I don't know what the conversation was, but maybe it was something to do with him wanting to disappear,
Mhm.
and she helped him figure out how, or
Right.
Just leave everything there, take the money. But
yeah,
I
or
think-
maybe he did get a head injury and wandered off, and he's still out there somewhere.
That's like the
just-
biggest red flag to me throughout the whole thing. Is like his parents did nothing to
know.
help him, and they had multiple chances. It's
I
like
know.
you see people that really lose their kids, and they would
Mhm.
literally do anything in the moment to like
Yeah.
try to fix it. Like
That's
They did
why,
nothing.
That's why I have a hard time believing he just did all this and got a head
And they
injury.
don't know
his
what
parents
happened
were
to him.
older though,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because they were retired, so they
Yeah,
had. It
but
had
they're
to-
not that old.
That's what I'm
Right.
saying.
They're not that old. I
They're
mean,
not
especially
unable.
Okay,
if
that's what I was-
it's your kid.
Well, it'd be like you think of like a grandparent or something. Like you have like super old parents, and you're still younger. Like they're not gonna be like, I don't know.
It's not like his parents were like super busy with other kids either because
Yeah.
he was their only kid.
Yeah,
And he was like their pride and joy.
yeah.
I can understand it after like the first phone call. What are you doing? Blah, blah,
He
blah.
was an only kid too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only,
See, that's
only
weird
kid.
because it's like it was almost like a thought. Like if you heard like the youngest kid always gets the easiest.
Right.
Like the parents are super strict with their first couple
Right.
kids, and by the time they have their last kid, it's kind of like, all right, we've been through
They're
this.
chilling.
Like, yeah, they're chilling. So that was kind of like a thought in my brain with like why they didn't go help,
Right.
but at the same time, it's just like why did you not like out at first time? Like he's at his girlfriend's house after they just broke up. He's acting erratic. Like,
Yeah.
nope, you're staying there, buddy. They're keeping your keys, and we'll be there tomorrow. Like
Yep.
that's.
Yeah.
I don't care how old you are. Like you need help, you need help.
I still get on YouTube every now and then and see if there's any like new leads and shit and this stuff. I think we can all agree that probably like a 90% chance he's still alive.
Yeah, I'd say
I would
so.
imagine.
I would love for him to turn up in my lifetime.
Yeah,
Yeah.
hopefully.
Fuck
it's
It'd be
yeah.
wild.
I mean,
Yeah.
you
like
really
one of
hope
those-
it's not like one of those situations where he's just living on the street or something. But like, at least you'd know he's okay.
Right.
It's like one of those JC Dugard things. You know who JC Dugard is?
No.
She was like, we're got to do that. She was like kidnapped, like when she was like 11 years old. And she was held at this dude's house for like 23 years or something
Holy
like that.
shit.
Oh, wow.
Was this in Ohio?
Erica knows about
Did
it.
the neighbor like find her or something? Yep.
Yes.
Okay, I know what you're talking about.
And this JC ended up having this guy and his wife kidnapped her.
Mm.
And JC ended up having his like three
Three
kids,
kids, yeah.
or something like that.
They
I
kept
think
her in the
I've heard about
basement?
that,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she ended up popping up like that. We have to do that one.
Yeah.
That's
And-
great.
Sounds good.
not to laugh about that, but the dude that because like she just like one day like runs out of the house. She got out somehow, and the neighbor.
So cops showed up there for like a welfare check or something like that, and I don't want to fuck anything up. I'm not going to talk about it. My bad. That's my bad. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say that the dude that found, if it's the same person we're talking about, the neighbor found her, and he was like a straight character. Like they had him on the news, and he was like acting an ass on
maybe.
there.
But I know at one point. So JC, our episode coming soon. That's
Just
my
wait on
fault. That's my fault. Next week, I think we're doing Baby Reindeer.
Okay.
Is it Baby Reindeer?
Yep.
Is that
Yeah.
what
We
it's
had
called?
Mac. We had Mac on the list too. So
We had Mac on the list. We could still do Mac. It's up to you guys.
I don't
But
care.
Yes.
Harrigan's dying.
I
Well,
still
I think
do
we should
Mac.
do Mac first, so we all 100% can watch it.
Have
Okay.
time.
Watch the,
Okay.
the
For the
baby
Baby
reindeer.
Reindeer.
shit.
Okay. Mac
That-
Miller
that'll be
next.
easier for everybody to do.
Mac Miller next. Baby Reindeer after that.
Okay.
All right.
Sounds
See you
good.
guys.
Good.
Peace out.